Hello and welcome to episode 50 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft. Joining me, as always, my esteemed co-host and the beautiful shillelagh himself, ladies and gentlemen, Doug Martin.
Oh, the shillelagh.
Oh, the shillelagh. Happy St. Patrick's Day, my friend.
Yeah, I almost totally forgot that it was today.
Did you wear green to
Nobody
school?
pitched me. I had like one of those bastard colors between blue and green. So I got away with it.
Okay.
But it was close.
Was it this Dune jersey that you wore?
No, it's not the Dune jersey. It was a nice like a polo from Sam's Club.
Very nice.
Mhm.
How's your week been going so far? Thus far.
Oh, it's been pretty good. We got a surprise vacation day here in
Yeah.
southwestern Virginia. We had some weird tornado-y weather that we don't typically get, like maybe like once a year, kind of like this. But it's rare that they cancel school for it. So I was home. We had like barely any weather, like at least in my part of the area. Some other places, I think we had like one tornado kind of briefly touch down. Um, and which called for like a warning or whatever it is. I always forget the difference between watch and warning. I think I've got it down now
Yeah,
after
warning is like it's
20
imminent.
some years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was nice. I just kind of got to try to catch up on some gaming time a little bit. Got a little reading done, got a little, watching done. I'm like halfway through the new live action season of One Piece, and so that's been a lot of fun. I love that show. Um, we could talk for a while at some point. Did you watch it?
No, I don't. I'm not an anime guy.
Mm.
I think my wife watched it, but yeah, I have not.
I like other like I don't know. I mean, this is probably blasphemous to say. I'm only like 300 episodes in. Only 300
See, that's
episodes in.
why. That's why I have such a hard time with anime because it's like, man, this shit gets real good on episode 187.
So no, I'm not one of those people necessarily, but the Netflix show does a really great job of it like super condenses these huge arcs. Like I forget, I saw like some statistics somewhere that said like how they fit like I'm making up a number right now, but it was like 100 or so episodes into
Mhm.
like 8 episodes of, the live action series, and it worked.
Yeah,
I think it's got this really unique, really cool vibe. It's pretty fun. I've been having a good time watching season 2.
it's funny. My wife is a big Dragon Ball fan, and she's been watching Dragon Ball Kai. Is that Dragon Ball Z Kai? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it was kinda like they or not redid it, but they kinda, like, tweaked it or, removed some stuff. I think they made it more, like, kid-friendly kinda,
I
even
don't
though it's
know,
already
man.
pretty kid-friendly.
Like the language and stuff that they use in it, I was like, I thought this was like a kid show, but they're calling everyone bastards and telling people to go to hell. And
I forget what I was like I had already watched all of them, or at least, like, what they aired on Toonami originally before they did Kai. I forget what the redo for that was, but, yeah, cool.
yeah, but anyway, we've been
I
watching
think
it.
you're right. I think you're right though, because I think I tried to turn Connor on to Dragon Ball one time in like or Dragon Ball Z, and I think we put Kai on in the very first episode. It was like Master Roshi like having an argument about his nudie magazines or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I've never been an anime guy. I knew, obviously growing up, I knew people who were really into like Dragon Ball. So I was watching it with her, and I was like, this fight's been going on for like 60 episodes. This is insane. Like, I'll like, she'll like be watching a whole day without me, and I'll come back and it'll be like the same fight going on, and it's all just like we're waiting on Goku to regenerate, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. I think anime has kind of gotten better about that in general over the past 30, 40 years. But yeah, I think that they've started to kind of super condense some of that stuff to make it a lot more palatable. I think there's an artistry to dragging out a fight that long, like for sure. But
yeah,
a,
definitely.
a lot of it is just kind of like filler, those shows especially kind of have like huge filler arcs between major fights or whatever, because they would have to like keep up with or like not get ahead of the manga, kind of like Game of Thrones style, to where they didn't want to come up with that problem or go come up against that problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was kind of surprised because while it didn't like hook me to the point where I was like, damn, I gotta like keep going in this, I was never like bored with it. So even there's an artistry to not only being able to extend those fights out like that, but to be able to do it in a way that's engaging and you don't get bored with it. I think is pretty impressive too. But also, if you haven't noticed, I'm rocking no beard, well, sort of a beard but a mustache. Tried to trim my beard up this weekend, Seth, and I don't know what your experience is like trying to trim up your own facial hair, but when mine gets bushy and long, I'm always like, all right, I watched the tutorial, I'm gonna do this shit. So I start trimming it up, got up to the sides, went too far down, was like, all right, well, I'm lopping it all off, and then just decided I'm gonna keep the mustache. So here we
It's
are.
sometimes, yeah, I kind of get to that point. Like you'll notice I've done mine kind of too. I think we didn't even discuss that we've done mine. I don't think since it happened. It was probably about maybe a day or two before you did. But yeah, I get to like a point. I'm just like I get tired of the beard and like I don't want to have to shape it up or do anything. So I'll just like every once in a while I'll just be bold and bad and I'll just shave everything and look like a baby whale for a few days and baby beluga. And then I'll miss it and get the stubble back and all that. I kind of just went to the stubble this time. Bridget says she likes this length, like she doesn't like it when it gets super bushy. But I did I like the stash look that you've got, and I might go with you on that here soon.
Honestly, dude, like Sunday, I was like, I've made a dire mistake. But it's grown on me, man, and I think it's like growing on my wife too. I think she's digging it, so I might. Who knows? Might keep
it's
up
growing
with
on your face too.
It's also growing on my face. I put a little beard oil in it this morning, combed it.
Ooh,
yeah.
I just get annoyed by mustaches, especially when they start to curl over my lip,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't want to. I hate maintaining things. Especially like stuff like that. I should probably take a lot more care of my body, but whatever. We probably need to start talking about Marvel Rivals.
We probably do. We got a shitload to get to. This is Rival Banter, and I'm also looking at the skies, seeing if any kind of god's returning, because Seth's the one keeping us on track today. But this is Rival Banter. We get together every week and talk about all things Marvel Rivals, and we're actually doing it live over here on twitch.tv/itishoagie. That's my Twitch channel, and so you can watch us record live at 8:30 Eastern time on Tuesdays. Shout out to Nick Tacto in the chat right now, who says, happy Tuesday, guys. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on season 7. I think it's going to be a banger season. Spoiler, we're not going to talk about season 7 today. Nothing really to talk about. I got you. We're going to talk about season 7. We're going to talk about season 7. Don't you worry. We got plenty to talk about. But you can also listen to this podcast in full on YouTube and on podcast services everywhere on Wednesdays. You can also follow us on social media at Rival Banter on Instagram and TikTok. Wherever you're watching us, make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and leaving a comment. Let's jump into some listener comments from last week, Seth. Also, join our Discord, guys. Come on. You can talk about Marvel Rivals with your friends. Make new friends. Slide into people's DMs. Slide into Seth's DMs. I don't know.
Don't do that.
Don't slide into Seth's DMs.
I don't have space in there.
All right, let's jump into some listener comments. We have the first one here from Landon over on Spotify. It says, hey, guys. First, I just wanted to say thank you for all you guys do. I love the show. And second, I know this isn't really related because we all hate gambling, but I decided to spend a bit on the Gambit and Rogue Wedding event, and I got it second try, so only 400 units, which is super hype. Well, pin a rose on your fucking nose, Landon. Didn't have to spend 3,000 units, but guess what? They got the $60 worth of currency out of me and Seth.
I was not expecting you to go in that hot. I was gonna just go like, well, Lottie freaking da or something, and let it go. But damn, boy. Yeah, number one, I love the positivity that you start this comment off, Landon.
Thanks for the compliment.
It just feels good to like know that even though you're doing something kind of weird and kind of dumb on a weekly basis, that 6 or 7 people may watch. It's nice to know that it is well received by those 6 or 7. And I also did not know that that was an emoji, the hand heart thing. No
Hmm.
idea that they had done that. They've done all kinds of stuff out
If you flip
there
it
in
upside down, hand, butt cheeks.
yeah.
I'm getting Seth left and right tonight.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, I
Sorry.
appreciate it, Landon. Thank you so much. No, that's all I got. That's all I got.
Yeah, thank you, Landon, and congrats. Spending 400 units and getting that whole package, that's a deal. That's a damn deal. I'd love to know what the drop rate is. I mean, I guess it's got to not be 1 in 6. There's no way it's a 1 in 6 chance every time, or however many things there are. Like, I'd love to know what the drop rate actually is for getting it at the 400 units. But no, I think I spent all. No, I didn't do the other gotcha one. I think I tried a little bit with some free units that I had and didn't get it after a couple spins. But no, I spent the full ass $30 on that Gambit in Rogue event. So
Mhm.
then we have Eric Too Good over on Instagram who says 6 stones, 6 people on the other team. You have to kill each enemy on their team with abilities corresponding with certain stones, maybe. Talking about what Thanos might look like later on this year if he gets added as a character. What do you think of that, Seth?
Oh, I think that's cool. It's definitely unique. I can't think of anything else like it. Still kind of like our ideas better a little bit, but I acknowledge this. Maybe we can kind of meld them together and make something kind of new and funky with that. I do think that it's got a lot of appeal. Like the idea, I don't know. Well, actually, sorry, that was a different comment. No, I'll save that for the next one coming up.
All right. Why don't you read that one for us, Seth, and I'll react to both these.
I sure will. I'm so glad I have it up here. Trench Warfare 049 says, I think it'd be awesome to have him start as basically Hulk. I think I said something like that as well last time. Or maybe that was somebody else, like some other character. I don't remember. Um, but basically Hulk with no abilities, and every ult is another stone that gives him a button or passive, and the seventh ult just kills the entire enemy team. It would add a bit of fun add a fun bit of narrative in the games, like Rogue desperately popping their ult to stop it from happening, or Adam Warlock coming in clutch with his. I do really, really like that idea. Um, After today's Guang Guang special, after that video that came out, I don't know if that would necessarily be feasible in the upcoming meta, which we'll get to, that stuff later. But I don't know if in season 7 onward we're going to be getting the opportunity to get 7-ish ults in a game. That would probably be like a feat, a
Yeah.
miraculous feat with what we've got coming up, but we'll see.
I mean, if they were to do something like this, I'd have to imagine that each ult would like scale. So like the first one you could get pretty quick, but it's like low impact, and then as it goes
Mm.
on, maybe it takes
Mm.
longer or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually.
I think the one thing, like, I like this idea. I like the sort of the meta game within it of like, oh shit, like you're having to keep track of how many times he's ulted, and then the like frantic trying to stop the seventh ult from like team wiping you or whatever. I think that's really cool. I'm not sure how fun it would be to play into like over and over again, but as a concept on paper, I really like it. I do really like the 6 stone 6 people thing, and I think we did kind of mention that connection last week when I was like, is it 5 or 6 stones? Since I don't know anything about lore. Um,
Mhm.
one thing is like, how do you track if you were to do the like you have to kill each person? Like, how do you track who you have and haven't killed with, especially if they're like switching characters and stuff like that? But I'm sure they could figure out a cool way to do that. Then Jones Bruh over on YouTube says, I have a feeling Thanos might be a tank. As a melee character with the gauntlet, he will probably have some ability where he can teleport dash, something similar to Phoenix, and maybe he can gain health with while dealing damage. So so does the Infinity Gauntlet allow him to teleport? Or does he just teleport naturally?
I think no, not naturally. I think that
Supernatural.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's maybe tied to, I don't know if it's the reality stone or what. I forget what all the different names of the Mars Soul reality, blah blah blah. But yeah, because I think if I'm remembering back to Infinity War, I think like that was that after the snap when he like kind of like steps back into a portal or something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering um what happened with that, but I don't know.
I'm not sure if you're expecting me to have any kind of like life raft for you, but
not one bit.
No,
but I feel like it's
I've seen
definitely
Iron Man 2. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's all I got. I feel like it's doable. Yeah, we can make it work.
Yeah. Then Kevin Moore 4355 over on YouTube talking about the new victim compensation protocol or whatever, says we still don't know what they determine to be throwing. Seth, I put this in here because of this because of this this part of this. He said, I have reported a thrower every single game and haven't been rewarded any points yet. But there are games where I get a thrower and I just don't have the energy to play. So I'm afraid I'm about to get banned. So far, it seems good, but I haven't experienced it yet. Kevin, Dr. Moore, please have a seat and let me speak to you for a second. You reporting a thrower every single game is part of the problem. There's no way every game you've gotten into has a thrower. And look, this is like, how does the system determine what's throwing? Honestly, I think most people have a terrible time determining what's throwing versus just somebody being bad at the game, right? Like just because
or having a rough night,
or having a rough night. Like just because your squirrel girl is 3 and 9 or whatever doesn't mean they're throwing. Maybe they're just crying because their girlfriend broke up with them, like right before they hopped on, and they're just trying to let off some steam.
Yeah, for sure. It was the Space Stone, by the way. I looked that up. He uses after the snap. He's got enough juice left to do a Space Stone teleport away from Wakanda. Thank you to Google Gemini.
Speaking of Space Stone, did you see that Ohio got struck by a meteor today?
No.
Yeah, apparently. There's been like a meteor shower over Ohio, and one finally came through and like rattled a bunch of homes in Northeast Ohio. All right. Thanks for leaving your comments, guys. We certainly appreciate it. No game this week because we have a shitload to talk about. So let's just jump right into our weekend rivals. Seth, what'd you get up to in game this week?
Not a whole lot. I'm hard stuck, I've decided, in Diamond 2. And, I just have no luck climbing through there. Part of it's me. I think that I'm just maybe not quite when I'm solo queuing, at least. Like it's just not there. I can't carry a whole team myself like some people can. A couple of my students at school, like they can just make it work no matter what the circumstances. And I'm just not there. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe my hands are too shaky and weak and stiffened from play. But yeah. I feel like I'm there. I also like it's the real world stuff. Like I got on like the kids were busy. They were doing something yesterday while we were having our tornado day. And I'm like, I could probably play 1 or 2 comp matches, no problem. And like the kids didn't bother me at all. But like everything else started to want to happen. Like I'm maybe 3 minutes in. The team I was on had a terrible comp, so this is not why we lost. But 3 minutes in, an old man parks in front of my house and carries a chihuahua out with like with a huge like electric fence collar, like as big as the dog, and comes to the knock on the door. And Bridget's like, you're gonna answer that because I'm she doesn't answer the door for people, and so I have to go out there. I hand her the controller. She has no idea what she's doing. I have to talk to the old man. The dog was lost. He's trying to figure out where it is. I've never seen this dog before.
Hold on.
And
I thought you said he got out of the car with the chihuahua.
Yeah.
But he lost the dog?
No, someone else. The dog was like,
oh, I got okay.
Yeah, he was trying to get the dog home, but he just had no idea where the dog's home is. So I was like, yeah, not from here. Yeah, no, maybe try this house. Like we got new neighbors down the block a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it's their dog. I've never seen it before. I gotta go. Meanwhile, Bridget was like, "Are you proud of me? I didn't die." And I was like, "Yeah, but you kind of just like were in
Spawn."
Not quite Spawn. Like she was like actively trying not to die, and in doing so, she had like gone away from everyone in the whole match. So I probably got reported for throwing. I was gone for like 2 minutes or something. Like it was pretty quick. But
dude, if you were in there with Dr. Moore, account's probably nuked at this point.
Sorry, doctor. I apologize.
Oh, that's wild. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. I've logged on and played a couple games every single day. I told you this yesterday. I meant to take a screenshot of this and send it to you, but I have lost 10 games in a row between competitive and quick play. And it's just been a bevy of different reasons. I don't think I've been particularly playing like poorly or anything like that, but yeah, I can't quite put my finger on what's been going wrong. Maybe my head's just not in the game right now. I'm just so excited for season 7, and even more so now that this is really. I know I said it last week, but it just feels like the waiting room. Like I'm in that season 7 waiting room, and I don't have any like goals right now in the game because I'm kind of just in plat 1, and yeah. So I am definitely down to play a lot this weekend for a multitude of reasons that we'll get into later in the episode.
Well, I will be gone most of the weekend, so I will
I'm
not
gonna
be
be
able to
gone
play
this
with
weekend, and I can't play with you because I have other obligations. I'm going in on
in
everyone
Charlotte.
tonight, Seth. I'm sorry.
We're going to be in Charlotte again for another soccer match.
That's right. That's right. I will not be able to attend because I actually probably won't be around on Saturday. Anyway, we'll have a lot more to talk about with our weekend rivals next week because I do want to get on and play this new update. So, all right, Seth, let's jump into the news. We really only have 2 items of news outside of the season 7 stuff, and so the first one is we have this new Ultron Odin Force skin. Talk to me about this, Seth.
I think it's a good looking skin. Ultron, maybe not the best looking character in most metas, but I think like this definitely kind of adds a little bit of the razzle dazzle, like some of that I don't know, the Norse appeal. I think that I wouldn't have expected this as a skin. I didn't notice or do any research to see if it's a part of an arc or in the comics, or if it's just kind of like a Rivals original. But I really like the idea. I like the emote. This is like I think the only Ultron skin I've seen that is like made me kind of want a skin for Ultron.
Yeah, this was the first time and I know there's not a ton of Ultron skins already, but this was the first time I saw an Ultron skin and was like, oh, they actually like did something pretty unique with this one.
It's kind of like Gambit. Like it's hard to beat the first one. Like he just has like a pretty cool design. Like I don't know. I haven't seen too many things that are like crazy good or better than that skin. So like why change it up if you don't really need to?
Yeah. And Nick Tacto in the chat says, I thought it was a new Thor skin at first. When I saw the name, that's definitely what I thought. And maybe even when I saw a still of it, I thought that too. But yeah, Odin Force Ultron. I don't know what I'm curious what the lore is behind that. I'm sure DC Brenton over in our Discord can let us know after he listens to the episode. That guy knows everything about Marvel. Also, I just saw the Punisher Marauder Marksman skin. Let me apologize up front, guys. I've been running around all day dealing with stuff. I didn't get home till like half an hour before the episode, so I'm not as prepared as I normally like to be. But yeah, this Punisher, they're continuing that Marauder line with the Punisher skin this week as well.
I like that too. And now you know how I feel because I'm always running around and barely able to make it onto the show. So I never have any idea what's going on.
That's okay. We can be the blind leading the blind this week. Mm-hmm. And then there's a White Fox skin, but we'll talk about that later because we'll talk about White Fox here in a bit. The other story that I have on here is that Aaron Keller did a panel during GDC on Friday. Aaron Keller being the director of Overwatch 2. And he dropped some interesting quotes about Marvel Rivals in here. This is from Tyler Wild with contributions from West Fenland over on PC Gamer. And here's the quote from Aaron Keller. Quote, Marvel Rivals definitely had an impact on us in a lot of different ways. End quote. And then he continues on later and says, quote, I think one of the biggest ones was seeing the amount of excitement that new players to Rivals had for this big drop of heroes. It got us talking about, hey, what if we could just drop 30 new heroes into Overwatch? What would the player reaction to that be? Because it almost felt like the release of that game was something like that, and then basically implying that it kind of influenced the 5 new characters that were released with this new season 1 of Overwatch, the like reboot of Overwatch. Thoughts on this, Seth?
Well, when I first read the headline before I clicked on the article, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like somebody, I know like GDC and a bunch of stuff has been happening. I was like, "Oh shit!" Did like the 2 teams get in a fight or something? Because it says that they pushed the Overwatch team. So I was imagining a scuffle, but no, I think this is really cool. Like this is like the you know. Arguably the cool thing about capitalism is that
We found it. The one cool thing about capitalism.
it's that competition increases and improves what we have or what's available. So like we had Overwatch, which arguably is like or at least has been kind of like stagnating, and you got this kind of fresh new thing that has like changed things up, kind of like a riff on something that was already great and cool. And they can kind of take the new ideas, make new ideas off of that, or kind of like do what they've done just in a different way. And they kind of iterate upon each other, bounce back and forth, and that's how we kind of keep getting cool shit. That's how art works. So yeah, I mean, I thought this was awesome. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I love the I love the creative freedom that's created by a question that is like, what if we dropped 30 new characters in Overwatch at one time? Like, you know, uh, when I was at Golden Guardians, I was a senior brand manager there. One of my big responsibilities was I was the executive producer for GG Melee, and we did seasons each year. And no, man, it doesn't feel good when it's done to you. But we did like 3-month long seasons for Melee, for our GG Melee channel, and after each of those seasons, we would sit down as a core team and we would have a whole day brainstorming session. And the thing I would always say to the team is like, this is not a place to talk about budget. It's not a place to talk about like process constraints that we've had in the past. It's not a place to like relitigate what we've done in the past. Today is about like new ideas and just kind of boundless imagination. And I feel like going to a team and saying like, okay, let's plan one hero at a time that we're going to release every few months is a very different conversation than like, all right, guys, sky's the limit. We're going to drop 30 new characters. What would that look like? I just think that's such a good, like, take the reins off, take the sort of like guardrails off of the conversation, and let's just go wild. What would we want to see? How would it impact the game? I'm glad to see they settled on 5 because I think 30 new characters at one time would be a little bit ridiculous. But no, you're right. This is exactly why we keep talking about how important it is to have 2 viable competitors within this space, and it doesn't look like they're working to push one another out of the space. They can coexist in it, and it's just like, that meme that's like, oh wow, 2 cakes, and that's what it is with Overwatch and Marvel Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's jump into our main topic of the day, Seth, and this is where we're going to park for the next little while. We got our season 7 information coming in hot all day today. And we're going to start with, let me make sure that it is muted. Great. We are going to start with the Dev Vision video and just kind of go through the news as they talked about the news. So our boy Guang Guang, Double G, as he's called over there on Reddit, speaking to us about new heroes and new maps. We have our first new hero that has been revealed for Season 7, and it is going to be White Fox. And I'm going to pull this trailer up. White Fox is going to be a strategist character, and she looks cool as hell, not going to lie. The trailer for the season itself with White Fox and Black Cat was badass as well. But Seth, what are your kind of first thoughts on White Fox?
I am just kind of like at a glance again. Like I thought the trailer was cool. I think it's important to kind of like with the overall like Marvel Cinematic Universe or like any kind of big story. I think it's kind of important to like step back and mix things up a little bit, or kind of take a different tone or vibe with the story. And I think this kind of seems like what's going on here. It's kind of like a little smaller, a little more insular. Um, the whole White Fox thing, I think, is kind of cool to like make her as this kind of new and slightly original character, more like kind of in the Luna Snow vibe. Like she's not original to Rivals, but she's from that same, what was it, Marvel Strike Force or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay. So yeah, you're getting that. This whole story is kind of built up around her stepping in and fighting against Fisk and all that. It's kind of a little bit more down to earth, even though there's a bunch of 2099 future invasion stuff going on. It's kind of centralized to New York. It's not like we're having huge fights with Celestials from outer space coming down, or whatever, playing chess with people like on that one map. Yeah, this is cool. I think I do like it. It's not my favorite, if I'm being honest. I kind of like more like the Rogue and Gambity stuff, but maybe I'll kind of learn to love this character or these characters as I kind of see this story play out and see them kind of get introduced to the game. I am pretty optimistic. I haven't watched the video. They came out with like a kit video for
Oh, did they?
White Fox today, right? Oh, did they?
I'm
I
sure
thought
they
they did.
did. Like I said, I've missed some stuff today, probably.
I thought maybe I saw it, but I know they had like just kind of a hint. They kind of basically went over some of her abilities in the dev video. So whether that's true or not, whatever. But she sounds awesome. She sounds like, we'll get into her abilities here in a second. She sounds kind of like a Gambit 2.0 to me at a first glance, but with some major differences too. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about her abilities for a second. Because again, I said this with Elsa Bloodstone. She's got a pretty straightforward kit, and I think that is what Rivals needs a little bit more of right now, rather than these kind of Deadpool Gambit style characters with huge ability sheets to have to catch up on. So essentially, from what I gathered from the videos that I was able to watch, she's able to heal people with her primary fire, but she's also going to have a charm that she can send through her teammates to heal them, and then it'll charm enemy players that it hits. So I'm imagining they'll be CC'd for a moment and walk closer. Think like Emma ult, how Emma's ult does to people. She can teleport to her allies to protect them. She's got a lot of like anti-dive abilities where she can use her claws to like push divers off of the back line and get them out of the way, and that's really cool. And then her ultimate grants lifesteal to her teammates and unstoppability to her teammates. So kind of a unique way of approaching the like healing output for a strategist ult, where it's kind of on your team to go in and do an ability. And I think that's where you're kind of saying it's a lot like Gambit. Like you have to use that ult to be aggressive to keep your team in the fight. I'm really curious what that usage is going to look like.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't mean like she's like Gambit 2.0 and that like she has a crazy complex kit, but kind
Yeah.
of like that, I don't feel like it's as straightforward as like as an Elsa Bloodstone, even though she's not super straightforward, like if you kind of get down to like her passives and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this I'm optimistic. I can't wait to see it and kind of like see what all her buttons and abilities do. But sounds cool, sounds interesting, kind of sounds like that, or the charm thing kind of makes me think of like Zenyatta in Overwatch, at least like kind of hearing it. I'm thinking about like his orbs and stuff.
Oh,
I'm
like
sure it's
Discord
different.
orb. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's different, but still, it's kind of where my mind goes. So I think it's cool. Sounds different than anything else, any other strategies than we have so far, and I think that's kind of what we need, is to make sure that every character is diverse and feels different to play and can do different kinds of things in interesting ways.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to get like hyped about this new character. I thought I'd see the kit and think that's pretty cool, like, but number one, this is the role that I play the most, which is strategist. So that's fun. She kind of has that cloak and dagger vibe where it seems like it's kind of forgiving on the aim perspective. So I like that. And I also like playing characters that have abilities that empower your team in ways other than just like full healing output, right? So the fact that she's got a kit that helps teammates out, I think is really cool. So I was very surprised watching the trailer to be like, damn, I'm really excited for Friday now. I can't wait to try this character out.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. It'll be cooler than I kind of like expected it to be, for sure. I'm still not sure that I'm like really on the hype train, but again, I'm optimistic. I think it'll be more fun than I anticipated it to be.
Did you watch the story trailer that they put out before the dev vision?
Yes, yeah, with the one with Black Cat in there
Yeah, yeah.
and her big giant boobies.
Yes, that's what they knew it, and they know exactly what they're doing with these trailers, man. Like,
That was my first thought because I saw some or other article somewhere else where they were like, I forget what it was, but it was like somebody from the dev team being like, oh, we never really planned to make these Gooner skins. I'm paraphrasing here, but like you didn't have to do that to Black Cat, you sons of bitches. Like you
and
know
it's
exactly what you were doing. You like ginormousized her in
yeah,
ways that she didn't necessarily need to be, and you put them like she's. She's dangling upside down,
yeah. That's the thing.
and
Yeah,
gravity's just like taking over and pulling them down to the ground, and like you're
you know,
playing our
you're
game,
you're playing fast and loose with
NetEase.
that T rating, okay? We need to go back to IARC and get them to maybe re-examine what we're doing with this game, guys. This isn't one of those submit it once and you just have that rating for the rest of your life kind of thing. Um, Look, I'm here for it. I love the character designs. You know, I think it's great. But what
Really great.
really great, honestly. um, so we got we have the strategist White Fox. What role do you think Black Cat's going to be
I don't know.
after
I think
seeing the
she
trailer?
like. I mean, like naturally, she seems like she would be a good DPS fit, but I mean, she kind of the way that they've enhanced her, I think that she could be.
Them bad boys
Um,
alone can take 400
I think
damage.
that I think she could be she could follow. She could be surprising and be a tank for sure. I'd have to go back and kind of watch like what she's doing, how she's acting in the moment. But I think she could be kind of like a live, super mobile tank. And that would be pretty cool to see. Again, I don't really want another DPS right now, just like most of the world, but it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. Like, it's so hard to guess with NetEase because they're just willing to put anyone anywhere, right, and make it fun. So, I do think she's going to be a Vanguard, and I do think she could have some like cool, sneaky flanking abilities for a Vanguard that might be kind of interesting. Sort of like. Sort of like Angela, like an ability to get into the back line, but not totally like a leaping dive character like Hulk or Venom.
Yeah, maybe like a one leap, and then she's got like a grappling hook or Gatling gun,
Mhm.
something like, or no grappling hook to kind of like get out quickly. Yeah, that kind of stuff I think like makes a lot of sense.
We're also getting a new map on April 2nd, a convergence map called Lower Manhattan. We have not seen anything else about this map that I know of, but I'm excited for another regular rotation map coming. Very interested in what the Lower Manhattan. I mean, we've got a lot of New York already, which I guess is just superheroes, right? In the city of New York. But what do you think about this, Seth?
Yeah, I mean that's it's awesome. I do think I hope that it stands out in some way. Like Midtown's like a pretty traditional, you know, just New Yorky map, but what is it? Central Park kind of has that whole other Dracula spin to it. So I think that in order to kind of keep doing the New York thing, I think they've got to mix it up. So I imagine this is probably gonna have like some of the like lockdown elements that like go with the narrative. Maybe a lot of stuff's gonna be blocked off or kind of like changed in some way. There's probably gonna be some kind of I'm imagining if the arc is that the 2099 timeline is kind of like superseding and coming down and invading our timeline. I imagine that it's going to have some of those Central Parky elements to where some things are kind of like being converted to futuristic, or there's kind of like a meld of the two things going on. And so you're kind of navigating in and out of those two different, different layouts, but no idea. That's just kind of what makes sense at a first look.
I think something might be broken in my brain because I watched that season 7 like trailer, like the story trailer that they put out, and I remember sitting and looking and saying, "I'm going to absorb what's going on narratively here," and I just black out every time I try. Like, I, they, it's this way when I'm playing Arc Raiders. I can't tell you a fucking thing that's going on in the story in that game either. This has a much more fleshed out narrative here in Marvel Rivals than that game does, but still, like, I want to care about the story, but I just glaze over every time they start talking about it. Like, why did Mayor Fisk have Black Cat trying to steal something? What was the deal there?
That part I couldn't tell you too much. I think they kind of said it was like a mysterious. They didn't really explain it 100% yet, but it was like some kind of totem or something that would relieve them of the 2099ification of stuff. Something like that. You know, that part, yeah, sure. But I kind of got the overall idea, like, this is happening.
All right, let's do a quick hit on some of these other announcements that they made in the video. They're adding an album system, so you're going to be able to save your photo mode shots directly to albums and sort those out however you want. I've never once used photo mode in this game. I don't know if you have, Seth. Or have you ever been a photo mode guy in anything?
No, I've like tried it. Like, I don't know, like some of the Pokemon games, like the past couple of generations, they've added that, like, to where you can turn your like your Rotom Dex or whatever, your phone Pokedex, you can turn around and take selfies with your Pokemon. I've done a couple of those things. I just don't have like the patience. Like, I want to play the game. I'm a very patient person in general, but like when it comes to my like game time, I'm trying to like maximize it as much as I can. So I'm like doing well just to be able to play the game and sit down for like an hour at a time. So but I'm doing that. I'm not like taking digital selfies. If you find my Facebook or my social media, it's been like years since I've taken a picture in real life and put it on there. I'm sure as shit not going to be doing it in a video game where I'm like there to play the game. But it's cool. I'm glad that it's there. I could see the appeal for people that do this kind of thing. I think especially with some of like the emotes and the Central Park stuff that they're doing and continuing to implement, I think, I mean, it just makes sense. And I think it will be fun to kind of see this stuff out in the wild.
Mm-hmm. To me, it feels too much like work. Like, I already
for you, yeah.
I have to do that stuff at work, like capturing gameplay and screenshots and shit like that. So jumping into a photo mode just feels like that. It also, I remember when photo mode started to kind of become a thing, and it never really felt like it was something for the fans as much as it was to just kind of like circle jerk as a developer over how great your game looks. Like, oh, we're going to add this photo mode to The Last of Us Remastered so that you can take pictures on top of this building overlooking the giraffes.
It's kind of like marketing as well, because they always kind of want you to like, they challenge you to share those pictures on social media. Like PlayStation's always, they've got like a monthly theme where they get you to like, they want you to go and, you know, take photo mode pictures of certain games or games from a certain theme and go and like they'll repost some of the ones that like the best ones that come from fans out there. And I mean, that's cool. But it's also like, again, I don't want to do that. I just want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Power for the players.
But for those of you that do like that stuff, that's the cool little addition having the album system in there. Then we've got a free Deadpool and Jeff duo emote coming to the game where Deadpool rides Jeff. I'm all for these, especially it's free, because the Emma Jeff one was not free, was it?
No, that was not.
And the
paid for that,
Gambit
and I always
Rogue
forget that I
was not
have it.
either.
Right. Now I think this is cool. Now they mentioned something about how like the other heroes are going to be jealous or something. I'm not sure if that meant that like this is just Deadpool and Jeff, or if like since it's a free emote, kind of like the stool and whatever else. I'm wondering if like anybody can do it, but I don't really know. I'm not totally clear on that.
Yeah, you're also going to be able to use it in Times Square and get like a unit reward or something like that. So that's pretty cool too. I mean, sure, it's
Sure.
They really want people to go to Times Square. So yeah, we got new accessories coming. For White Fox,
Mm-hmm.
Iron Fist, Hawkeye, Mr. Fantastic, Ultron, Adam Warlock, Penny Parker, Hulk, Venom, and Elsa. What 2 characters from that list will you be picking up?
I'll be getting Hulk for sure. I lost the list. Oh, Mr. Fantastic as well. I think those are the 2. If I had to pick just 2, it would be those.
I'll probably get White Fox, and I don't really play any of these characters. Either maybe Penny. I don't know.
Hmm.
But definitely White Fox, because I think I'm really going to enjoy playing as White Fox. All right, Seth. You ready to get into the meat of this conversation? Because we got
I
some
reckon.
balance changes to talk about, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about in Zeong's portion. First of all, let me say, great to see the Z-Man back in action on these videos. He was not in the season 6 or 6.5 Dev Vision videos. I thought he had been banished to some basement somewhere to fix the balance of the game, but good to see him again. And they talked a lot about sort of philosophy of balance, and we can go through all of these here in a moment, but what I really want to talk about is the sort of retrospective on season 6 that they gave, where they were kind of trying to position or trying to put some context around how do the different kind of role lineups work, how successful are they, and they shared this graphic, and I'm just going to share this screen. This is our show notes, so it's not going to look great, but I took this screenshot from the video, and they made a point to say that 222 for 2 Vanguards, 2 Duelists, and 2 Strategists had a close to 60% use rate across all ranks and a 53% win rate across all ranks. And then if we go down to some of the triple strategist comps here, they have the 2 Duelist, 3 Strategists that was used 9.5% of the time with a 45% win rate, and then the 2 Vanguard, 3 Strategists that was used about 9% of the time with a 46% win rate. And they talked about how they kind of came to these numbers where they would assign a point value for these compositions winning versus these compositions losing, and then it would be weighted based off of the amount of time that a team was in those within a game. So, like, for instance, let's say you play 70% of the game 222, 30% of the game as triple support, then they would give 0.7 points for the win to 222 and 0.3% or 0.3 points for the win to triple support on that. So, Seth, I've got a ton of thoughts about this, but wanted to get your thoughts on it first. What do you make of these numbers? Do you think this is even like great context?
I don't know. I mean, I think like again, I've never been like as anti triple support as you, although I do definitely get a lot of the kind of the complaints and problems with it. I kind of like applaud him for kind of coming at it from this angle. Like I think they tried to very clearly say like we're not against or for triple support. We're kind of for the freedom. But here I appreciated them being like, here are the numbers, and like in their very deadpan way, like let's just kind of let them speak for themselves, and you kind of see from that the numbers like are just telling you like 222 is kind of how most people typically try to play it, even when it might not seem that way, and it typically tends to be the most successful when you kind of play a more traditional meta. Of course, there like that is all dependent upon, like you mentioned, the words dive and poke over and over and over and over and over again through that video. So it kind of depends on how well you're doing that, like how your DPS is targeting strategists and all of that, and especially when you go up against a triple support comp. So I think they did a great job. Me personally, not as a data analyst, I think that they did a pretty good job of like anticipating some of the complaints and problems with looking at the data and saying like, well, we tried to account for this and we tried to account for that in coming up with these calculations. I'm interested to kind of hear, as more of a math and numbers person, what you kind of have to say about this aspect of the dev talk.
Yeah, I'm not a data analyst either, and I'm not a statistician, but I do like digging into numbers and kind of seeing. And I think that from a high level, if we're going to get corporate about it, from a high level, these numbers are fine. And I get from like a PR perspective, what they're trying to do is like give a hook to hang the hat of the discussion on, to be able to say, well, triple sport isn't busted. And so I get it. That's fair, right? And I think if these numbers were to come back and triple sport was like swapped with 222 in terms of win rate, it'd maybe be a different conversation for the dev team. However, I don't think that this provides us with a very nuanced or maybe even useful picture of how triple support success is impacting the game, because I think there's a lot of circumstances here that aren't accounted for. The first being the weighting system. I think kind of misses what triple support can do in a lot of games. So think about this, Seth. Like, let's say we're on Kunlun in a competitive match, and we're playing 2-2-2. We're going up against a team that loses the first team fight. 2-2-2 goes triple support. And so they're going to play, and they're going to stay triple support the whole game. 90% of the game they play is triple support. We play our entire defense as 2-2-2, but playing against the triple support, they grind it out. They only reach halfway through point B, but they take the full clock to take point A and to get to point B, right? So they took a long time in triple support on there. Then our team switches to triple support to mirror them on attack, and we roll them, right? We win the first two fights, and we just get to the second point with like 2 minutes of playtime under our belt. Well, weighting that is going to look wrong, right? Because it's going to look like, for the most part, we were playing 2-2-2, and so 2-2-2 is going to get more credit for that win than triple support, whereas the triple support was able to accelerate us to a win faster than we probably would have gotten it grinding out as 2-2-2. So I think the weighting system is probably like too skewed and misses kind of what some of the frustrations around triple support are, which is that it's just a huge tempo play on offense, and it's a real like grinded out play on defense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. Again, that's why I am not a mathematician.
The other thing,
looking at the bigger picture behind the numbers.
Yeah. The other thing I would have loved to see is for them to just kind of remove that variable altogether and only show us the win rates in matchups that were full on one versus another. And I don't know what that sample size looks like, but I'd be much more interested in, is triple support more successful against 2-2-2 than it is against other comps? And this doesn't really paint that picture, right? We don't know what these three strategist comps are running up against and how people are trying to counter them. So you can kind of remove that weighted variable that we're talking about by maybe like simplifying the data set in that way. But again, I don't know what the sample size for something like that is. And I had some more thoughts on this, but they did the like celestial and above breakdown. I think I would love to see this broken down across all ranks, because I have a feeling triple support is a lot more effective in like some of the metal ranks, like just because it takes a lot more coordination to kind of compete against it, and that coordination just doesn't exist in like bronze, silver, gold. It barely exists in like platinum, diamond. So I'd love to see a bigger breakdown. And then my final point, Seth, you remember goats in Overwatch? We all remember goats in Overwatch. Goats was a very specific composition, right? It was Zarya, Reinhardt, Diva, and then it was like Lucio, Moira, Zen, and Brig, right? Very specific. I don't think triple support is as specific in Rivals, but not all triple supports are created equally, right? Like, it's a very different composition to run like Invis, Luna, Cloak and Dagger than it is to run something like Invis, Gambit, Adam Warlock or something like that, right? Like where you get more utility out of it rather than just like raw healing output. So I'd love to see some sort of breakdown of like the most common or most effective triple strategist compositions kind of pulled out from this? What's the win rate of those more like the actual triple strategists that are being run versus just, hey, as long as we got 3 tanks, 3 supports, we're playing goats, you know? Just because we have 3 strategists, we're playing triple strategists. It's not necessarily how it works. So there's more data that I'd like to see, but I get what their objective was with this, which was to just like give something that we can point to say it's not busted. Staying on the triple support stuff, the triple support subject there, Seth. They announced that the biggest change coming in season 7 was a change to some of the changes that they made to characters and ult charges in season 5. So to break down to put what they said in fewer words, it's basically a 20% baseline reduction of ult charge across the board. And they're getting that in different ways. For vanguards and duelists, the charge that they get from the damage that they do is reduced, but the passive charge that they get is increased. So player like dive characters that aren't in combat constantly are still able to charge their ults. And then for strategists, damage and healing to ult charge has been reduced, but then passive energy has been reduced even more, and all of it kind of nets out to 20% baseline reduction. And I think that's interesting because it shows what they think makes triple support so tough to play against. And Xeon kept saying it's the like constant ult rotations that you have with your strategist that you just can't break through. Do you think that he kind of nailed it in terms of what makes triple support frustrating, or do you think that it's something different?
No, I mean, I didn't go away from the video angry or anything like that. I think that there's kind of a funny way of looking at it where they kind of like, without saying it, they're kind of saying like, you kind of just have to get good against like, and kind of go against the meta that way. But I don't know. Overall, like I appreciated it. Again, I think kind of like the deadpan nature of like the way that they kind of do these things. Kind of like, I don't know, it lent itself well to this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that he's got it right. Like, it's a lot harder to have effective DPS ults when you only have 2 DPS running into 3 supports who can all counter your ult, right? Like, oh man, I just team wiped the team with my Star-Lord ult or whatever. Oh shit, there's Adam Warlock just rezzing everybody up again, you know? So I find it interesting that this was where they went, but this is something that everybody, I mean, a lot of the community's been asking for. Like, we need this sort of cross the board nerf for everybody. And I'm glad that we got it. It shows their willingness to listen, and it shows their willingness to, you know, make big changes to the game. Like, this is a core change to the game. Ults in this game have been, there has been no neutral game. So I'm excited to see like how much more important the neutral game is going to become. I think in that, dive's going to become more effective. Flyers are going to become more effective. People are going to have to learn and adapt to playing against a lot of different compositions rather than just constantly playing into Phoenix, Bucky, Hawkeye, Hella, you know, like the poke stuff. So, and I think that they did this in an interesting way. The like passive ult charge increases for DPS, I think, make characters like Black Panther, Iron Fist, like people who spend time out of combat looking for angles, more viable. Then we got some rank adjustments coming as well. We'll get to the full patch notes here in just a second, but so in ranked, each team is now going to get 3 bans to coincide with the larger roster. Placement matches are now going to factor in your personal performance, which I didn't realize that wasn't the case. I guess it was just like a pure win-loss kind of deal for those first 10. And then they're adding Shin Shibuya back to the map lineup. So the convergence map there. What do you think about these changes, Seth?
I like all this stuff. I think they're really speaking my language. This is the kind of more of the stuff that's getting me excited about the kind of the shakeups that they're doing to the game overall. I think it's been a real sweaty couple of seasons. Like, I feel like just kind of every match. And it's fewer and far between, which is great. Like I'm not rolling or being rolled every single time, but I do think like in steps like these are important, especially once we've kind of gotten into a meta for a little while. I think it's important to kind of make these changes to change up the overall um, gameplay feel and kind of just like add stuff. I've kind of missed Shin Shibuya. I didn't think I would way back when, and I'd kind of forgotten about it, to be honest. But then I've forgotten that it wasn't a competitive map. But yeah, I'm kind of glad to see it back.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're getting Shin Shibuya back and we're not getting the Idris, whatever the Dom map is, the Royal Palace maybe is what it's called.
Yeah.
Not interesting in the sense that it's unexpected, but I think it just goes to show how poorly designed Odin's Archive is, because they've said like Odin's Archive is the reason that map is not in competitive rotation.
Hell yeah.
So I'm curious to see if they make any changes to that in the coming up seasons to get another Dom map in there, because with Shin Shibuya getting added and then the Lower Manhattan being a convergence, we're going to have 2 new convergence maps basically being added back in, because Shin Shibuya has been out since like season 3 or 4, something like that.
I thought it was sooner than that or earlier than that, but
Maybe
was that
I'm
not
wrong.
a launch?
What's that?
Was that not a launch?
No, it was a launch map. I'm saying it was taken out of competitive.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense.
Correct me if I'm wrong though. I may be wrong there. So, but I love the 3 bans. Still nothing about duplicate bans, which I think I'd have been fine with them keeping 2 bans if they got rid of duplicate bans. But I think this is a fine solution as well, and it makes it so that you can spend that first ban maybe a little more creatively. Try to target so that you can kind of wait it out and see if some of the more overpowered characters are being banned by the opposite team, right? You don't have to just be like, we're banning Gambit first pick because you got 2 other chances to get him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump into these patch notes. First of all, let me just say, I don't think I've ever said this. I love these graphics that they put out for the patch notes. I think this is just like such an effective way of communicating what is normally just a giant ass list of stuff in a rundown posted up on a blog. But we already talked about the global ultimate changes. Any other thoughts on that, Seth?
No, I'm kind of excited for it. This is like the stuff I think you've been kind of talking about for a while. Like one of the big differences between this game and Overwatch is just like how the ult economy feels. And I'm excited for this. Like I do think that's gonna drastically reduce the amount of sweat that goes into those like, clutch overtime fights. Sometimes I don't know, I played a ranked game today and it's happened several times over the past week or so where like the first fight and the last fight just go on eternally, like they just do not end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing for 10 minutes and nobody's captured the point yet on a dom match, so like it's cool in a lot of ways. Like I've always kind of said I appreciate when a game does that, but or like when you have that competitive feel and you're really working for it, but also like there's only so much time in the day. Like I would love to be able to play more than one competitive game
Yeah.
in an afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, we're all going to be kind of relearning the game. I think both me and you have gotten pretty good at ult tracking in this game, and it's a little easier in this game than it is in like Overwatch because of if somebody hasn't ulted in a fight, you can probably assume they have it. We're going to have to kind of relearn the tempo, and I think it's going to make characters that kind of benefit off of knowing when the other team has their ults a little harder. Put players like Rogue, players like White Fox, who makes people unstoppable, which will be able to stop a bunch of ults that happen. So it'll be interesting to see just kind of how overall the feel of the game changes. But let's jump into some of these specific ones. So our Vanguard changes, we have Angela, who is getting some adjustments. She's going to be better on the ground and less pesky in flight. And then her ultimate ability damage and control have been slightly hit. So Probably overall a nerf, but mostly adjustments. And we got Cap, who every character that has something that kind of impacts ultimate charge gets a change here. So reduction in that charge for his ultimate ability. And then when leaping dash is set to toggle, Captain America's last 4 ranged sentinel strike shield throws won't be interrupted by leading dash. I don't know what any of that means because I don't play Cap, but does this, I know you are a Lord Cap. What does this change sound like to you?
I think it's I know you know me. I also like being a Lord Cap. I typically don't worry too much about like the names of stuff. Um, so I'm guessing leading dash is like when he's like his run, like where you can toggle his
Mm-hmm.
running, his sprint on and off. I'm guessing that his last 4 range sentinel strike shield throws, like when he kind of has that combo, like when you get several different hits, like his primary attack on the enemies, that he starts like automatically throwing his shield, and it's not linked to that same cooldown as like the singular throw. I'm guessing it's with that. It's if I without going back and looking at like the names in the kit or whatever.
So he's just going to be an even bigger backline menace with that change.
Yeah, so like when he dashes in, I think the leading dash is okay.
Yeah, it's definitely his
Yeah,
run. That's the only thing you can toggle with him.
yeah.
So, Deadpool's getting all of the Deadpools are getting changes to their ultimate ability cooldown to reflect the changes, the overall global changes, since his ult works differently. He's also getting a slight nerf to one of his abilities as well. Emma Frost is getting getting a nerf to her diamond form, where the damage reduction will go down, but her ultimate's getting stronger, which I think is a good thing. I think Emma's ult is really kind of hit or miss, so putting that in a place where it can be a more consistent tool, I think is a good thing for her. Hulk is again getting buffs. They're trying so hard to get Hulk into the meta, and it just has not been all that effective. I think as poke goes down in effectiveness, I think Hulk is just going to naturally increase because he's just a giant ass target to hit when you jump in the back line. But increased indestructible guard absorb damage to ultimate ability charge conversion rate from 100 to 130%, so he'll get his ult faster. And then Gamma Burst is going to gain 2 charges each with a 6-second cooldown. So sort of going that like cloak and dagger route where you put something that used to be, 2 different ability, not 2 different abilities, but where giving you more ability to stack those, and then reduce single hit damage from 75 to 65. So adjusting it based off that. Strange is getting a shield nerf, and Magneto is getting an increase to the cooldown of Metal Bulwark and a reduction for Iron Bulwark. And then an increased Meteor M projectile speed from 30 meters per second to 45 meters per second. And my cloak and dagger heart shatters because he's just going to be that much better at countering. What Vanguard changes here are you interested in?
You know me as a mag guy. This kind of stuff sounds good to me. I like the idea of that ult getting a little bit stronger too, a little bit more usable. Not that it really was hurting all that much before, but yeah, I like the idea, especially because sometimes you feel a little helpless as mag, like in the thick of things. So I like the idea that they're kind of like increasing his survivability a little bit here, like in that big like lane rush, like when everybody's kind of clashing in a choke point or something like that.
Yeah. Duelist changes. Let's see. BP is getting just a little adjustment to his movement abilities. Hawkeye is getting a slight reduction to his base health, which again, I think they're trying to sort of like bring dive in ways by not making the dive characters way stronger, but by making them more effective against some of the poke characters. And I think that's a really interesting change for Hawkeye there, a little more diveable. Blade is again, I mean, I feel like this is the second patch in a row that we've gotten just like a long ass description of what they're doing to Blade. But his close up combat's going to get boosted and his ranged attacks are going to get snappier. I'd love to see Blade more in the meta, and it just seems like they would love to see that too. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
Daredevil is getting some nerfs to his damage and tankiness to try to take him even further out of the meta there. And then we already talked about the Deadpool changes that are coming. Also, Bloodstone's going to take a heavier hit when she dies. She's going to lose more passive stacks when she dies. Human Torch is getting more uptime and more burn for his fire clusters, so trying to bring him in, and it teases more tweaks coming in season 7. Iron Man, his overclock is stabilized. Tony's staying power and ability field get a boost. So armor overdrive, each KO while armor overdrive is active, it extends its duration by 2 seconds. I think that's pretty cool. And then reduce armor overdrive startup from 1.8 to 1.3 seconds. I always felt like that animation was like really unforgiving when you enter his like overcharge state.
But yeah.
Magic is getting it's a sharper feel, fairer poke. Ileana's poke capacity has been slightly reduced, but enjoys smoother ability execution. So trying to make her, into the dive character she's supposed to be. Psylocke's combat capability is slightly increased, so the crossbow cooldown reduction to other abilities on hit gets a 0.05 second increase. I'm curious to ask Larry when he plays if that makes how big a difference that makes, because that's wild to me.
If he ever plays again.
If he ever plays, he might just be an Arc Raiders boy for the rest of his life. Then Winter Soldier is getting a reduction in the spell field damage on hit from 65 to 55 to his, I think that's his secondary fire ability that he throws out. And then Scarlet Witch is getting some more consistent damage output in close range for chaos control, which is her left click is going to inflict greater damage on nearby enemies. And then whilst allowing more frequent use of her right click, which is the big burst. So trying to bring Scarlet Witch into here. Okay, Seth, what duelists here jump out to you?
I think, it's about time that Bucky got a little touching. I think same kind of thing with Daredevil. I think he's kind of gotten better, or maybe people have kind of learned how to deal with him a little bit more. But it's nice to kind of have some more official nerfs coming at him. I still haven't really been concerned as much with Elsa as some people have been, but I guess the idea is out there enough to where it's kind of manifested in these nerfs as well. Overall, cool. It's nice meaty list of changes coming up.
Yeah, the one Elsa change I didn't mention is she is getting a reduction to the bonus health that she gets from 2 of her abilities, which I think is one of the main reasons people get really frustrated with Elsa. Is it's so hard to kill her in a 1v1 because if she has any of those abilities up, she was getting 40 extra health. They reduced that to 30. Yeah, I am interested in what they're doing with the flyers. Iron Man, I think, is one of those characters that can be hard to deal with if you don't have DPS kind of looking at him, or a tank who can get him out of the sky. And I think making him more effective is going to bring the flyer meta back in a little bit more as well. But yeah, I agree with you on the Winter Soldier stuff too. I guess the Scarlet Witch stuff is a little bit of a counterplay to Iron Man, though, right? Like she can get up to Iron Man and harass him. All right, let's move on to the strategists. Gambit is getting some adjustments. So his ultimate ability, ultimate charge acceleration to allies, is going to be reduced from 30 to 20. Again, trying to reduce the amount of ults that are in the game. Reducing the movement boost from 50 to 40% that he grants to his teammates during ult. And then increasing additional single target explosive damage, enhanced damage ratio from 20 to 25%. So nothing happening on the healing side of things, but I do like nerfing I didn't realize it was 30% on the increase for those ult charges. So reducing that, I think, is going to be good. Those feel like pretty good changes to Gambit. Invis is getting a reduction to the Guardian Shield healing from 25 to 15 per second, and then an increased healing over time when she goes invisible. the changes we already talked about with Deadpool. And then Luna Snow, Idle Aura new effect, reduce Ice Art's cooldown by 2 seconds whenever a hero with Idle Aura takes part in a KO. So that's and that counts both self and the ally. So I think that's pretty interesting as well. You can throw that on the guy that's diving the back line. He gets a couple KOs and your cooldowns get reduced. Pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those? What's that?
Just what Luna needed. I don't know. I feel like she hasn't been as much of a menace.
Yeah, she's not been as much of a menace lately. So,
but yeah, the Gambit thing. I feel like he's just been nerfed into the ground almost. But like they keep nerfing him, and he keeps kind of still being relevant. So I don't know. It makes sense, I guess. Like we'll kind of see how he feels moving forward, but it seems like he's just so kind of well-rounded that like it's hard to kind of know what to do with him.
He's got so much built-in utility into his kit. I mean, with a cleanse, with an anti-hit, like all that sort of stuff. I feel like the only thing you can really do without just straight up taking abilities away from him is just tweak the math like they're trying to do. And it's really his ult that's been the most oppressive. I don't think he's like super tough to deal with in the neutral at this point.
Right.
I do like the invis changes. Guardian Shield is one of the most busted abilities in the game. And so now it says, hold on, let me read this. So less healing in the fray, better reset out of it. Sue's self-healing during combat is nerfed, but her out of combat recovery gets a boost. So is this just a reduction to the Guardian Shield healing that she gets if she puts it on herself, or is this to everybody?
That's what it sounds like. And then like, I guess when she kind of does that jump away and turns invisible or whatever, then she gets kind of a boost to her healing.
Okay.
I guess it's incentivizing you to kind of jump out and like use that escape ability a little bit more.
Yeah. They are removing 2 team ups, the duality dance, which was the Luna Adam one, which I almost never saw.
I forgot it was a thing, to be honest. I totally forgot it existed because I feel like I never see Adams, or if I do, it's in quick play.
Yeah. And then Jeff Nato is getting taken out. So Jeff is finally losing a team up ability. He still has like 8, 9 more, but he's losing out on that one. Then the new ones, and I think both these sound pretty cool. We've got a White Fox Luna Snow team up. So as the team anchor, White Fox is going to gain the 10% increase in healing effects, but then Luna unlocks the new Spirit Fox Accord ability through her team up ability with White Fox. And from what I understood is that's like it follows her around and can like heal and protect her in some kind of way. So interested to see how that works. And then Cosmic Cyclone is a Storm Adam Warlock team up. So Adam Warlock is going to gain the Heavenly Harmony ability. So the way that this works is when he is in his flying mode, he will leave a trail behind him that heals teammates, and I think gives them a speed increase as well.
Yeah. Did you see this?
Yeah. I saw it in the death video.
I did not make this connection as a 35-year-old man. I'm pretty good about kind of eyeballing this stuff and seeing it. But no, it wasn't until a student approached me today and was like, "Did you see Adams getting a crop dusting ability?"
I was gonna say he just leaves a fart.
I did not think of it like that. I imagine that the developers at NetEase probably did not. Maybe it's a cultural difference. Like they might not have thought about, how
the stank lines,
how dumb we Americans can be over here.
Yeah, going yellow was a choice because it's like a gold trail,
Right.
But look, they might be opening this up to a Jeff skin that turns his spray yellow, which I keep asking for.
God help us. Piss on me, Jeffrey.
Piss on me, Jeff. I don't know. Overall, I'm really excited about this patch, man. Like the game has felt a little bit sort of stale over the last season because of some of these issues. And I think that these are a lot of change. I haven't been on like the subreddit or on, any of the social media seeing people's reaction, but I feel like this is a lot of stuff people were asking for. There's not a whole lot that's missing that I can think of that I would like to see. I mean, Black Widow still sort of, just ignored and left out in the cold somewhere. No changes to her, but
That's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. But I think it's also cool. Like we didn't. We saw like a Hawkeye nerf in here, but we didn't see anything for like Hela. We didn't see anything for Phoenix. Is there another poke character that I'm missing? Like, so it seems like that sort of emergency patch did some of the things they were expecting it to do, to poke. So, but I don't know, man. I'm like rejuvenated about the game and feel really excited about season 7 overall. Like, where would you put your excitement level out 1 to 10?
It's kind of like it kind of caught me off guard today. Like my expectations, they weren't necessarily low; they were just kind of like mid. But I think like with all of these changes, I could be let down. But I'm in like a 7 or 8. Like I'm not, I'm not like a bored again. Like I just sat through Revival or something like that. But that's a Christian church thing for those of us in the South, if you weren't aware. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do feel like it's going to feel like a brand new game in a lot of ways, kind of moving forward, for better or for worse. I think for better once we kind of get the chance to wrap our minds around things. And they were very like, I think they tried to broadcast that a lot throughout the course of the video, where they were like, it's going to take some getting used to. There are even more changes that are going to be coming around 7.5 if all goes well. They're like, we're going to be constantly testing these things and trying them out to make sure. Which is all, of course, part of the process always, but still, like, very, very intrigued, very excited. Not like, over the moon, 10 out of 10, but, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I think I would put myself at like an 8 or 9. I'm really excited about White Fox, more excited than I thought I'd be, like I said earlier. Also, if you don't mind jumping in the show notes again real quick for me, if you still got those up. But yeah, I'm excited about the ult changes. I love Overwatch because of the focus on the neutral, and I think making this game a little closer to that is a good thing. And then, so Seth, the final thing I wanted to get your reaction on before we wrap the show up. I saw this post on Reddit earlier today, and I thought it was one of the funniest Marvel Rival things I've ever seen. But somebody posted, "Oh hell nah, they got my man Double G flabbergasted," and this is in the Rivals Assemble event during the cosplay contest, just absolutely geeking.
This is how you know when they have this when they have this discussion, like, when everybody's like, Marvel Rivals, you know what you're doing, and Marvel Rivals itself is like, we have no intention of doing it this way. Look at that face.
Look at that, man. That is a man.
He's in awe. Like that lady is his god in this moment. He lives and breathes for her.
This is a man that would dump $100 into a gacha system to get the Luna Snow summer skin. This is a man who knows what he wants, and he's gonna get. That face, man. I might make that my profile picture on Discord. I might take a screenshot of Guang Guang's face in this. Also,
he's hunched over and everything.
He is enthralled. He is just gawking. Also, Double G is such a good name for Guang Guang. I'm gonna start calling him Double G. Love that. All right, Seth. Let's get out of here. We're gonna be playing season 7 this week. That's gonna be our thing. So we're not going to get into that. We're already like an hour and a half into the show. So let's wrap this up, Seth, and let everybody else get excited about season 7 like we are. But we appreciate everybody tuning in. It's going to do it for us this week. Make sure you're following us, liking, commenting, subscribing, all those good things. Share these episodes with friends who play Marvel Rivals. If you do, just say, hey, there's these two guys. They're pretty funny, but way more attractive than they are funny. And you should listen to them talk about this game so that we can talk about what they talked about and just start a discussion group. You can also follow us on twitch.tv/itishoagie for right now. We're streaming every Tuesday at 8:30. I've also got some ideas for other Rivals content that I want to do on stream now that I've got my PC set up, so stay tuned for some more of that. And we'll also probably be evolving the live product as we go as well. So yeah. Make sure you join our Discord, all that sort of stuff. But we're going to get out of here. Let us know what you're most excited about when it comes to season 7. And until then, good luck in your games. Good luck on the climb. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.